It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love.
If I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
So a big stink has been made for over a year at least about Rachel Zegler. It's fair to say that she's made quite the mess of her own career, going from mediocre musical to mediocre blockbuster to imploding her own career.
It's all a bit tragic really, isn't it?
But is there more to the story? It seems overly simplistic to just simply say, oh, she's an entitled brat who ruined her own career at the end. I think there's more here. Let's take a further look at this particular actress before and after this whole debacle even started, and let's get to the root of what is going on here. So how did Zegler's career even begin? Well, she actually began as a YouTuber. She's not doing the reputation of YouTube as very much good, beginning by uploading song covers as well as clips of her on stage. And I had to look back to find the earliest vlogs I could from her to get a further idea of her personality before and after this whole mess started, and yeah.
Remember when being a YouTuber was like the first thing I ever did, and now I've just completely forgotten how do people do? I don't remember. I washed my hands once, washed them pretty thoroughly.
And she's a horse.
There's a snow day tomorrow. It's gonna snow real bad here in New Jersey.
She's from New Jersey? That explains it. You can tell from an early point in these sorts of videos that, yeah, she was very young during this. And already that weeds out certain quirks about herself. She has very little to no filter. It sort of has that early YouTuber zeal to it. I felt I was watching a video from 2014 half the time.
I got my period after last time. I think the last thing I posted on here was me being like,
please vote, please, 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 if you live in the United States and you are over the age of 18, like please, please vote for Joe Biden.
How'd that work out for you? Okay, but to play both sides here. To be fair, at this time she's what, like 19, 20? And this was around the time of when she was in West Side Story, so this makes complete sense of why she'd be acting like this, as of course, she's young and being dumb. I think we can all agree that we've all done dumb things, especially in the age of the internet, where our dumb things can be broadcast forever.
I don't really know what I'm doing.
Well, at least she admits it.
Filmed in my car before, so I didn't know this and I wasn't prepared, and I'm a terrible YouTuber and everybody needs to unsubscribe. You're like in my passenger seat. Hey girlie!
It also brings to light where this attitude came from. Perhaps it was performative, an exaggeration of her actual personality, sort of the same way you would have an exaggerated personality on YouTube. Or the fact that she went from the stage to leading roles in musicals and blockbusters. I mean, that is sure to be a whirlwind, but it's how you react to that whirlwind that shows your true character, and we know what happened there. It is thanks to this context that we now have more of an idea of what was going through Zegler's head when
Weird.
that happened. To put it bluntly, she was in YouTuber mode. It makes perfect sense when you say it like that. The overly obnoxious phrases, the exaggerated facial expressions, suddenly it all becomes crystal clear. But I suppose that an argument can be made about... there's a cat over there. And while it makes sense, now you have to wonder, did PR people not forewarn her about this sort of thing? You would think this would be the first port of call, that they probably would have seen her personality already and would probably have said, no, don't do that. You have to be respectful, professional. Surely someone on a PR team would have forewarned her on how to behave, especially at an event such as this where all eyes would be on this new project. So did she just go off script, or did they not actually handle her very well? I don't know, I'm thinking the former.
If I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
You serious? Pay you for what, standing there?
Yeah, there's no way that the PR team were on that one. But let's take a look at the aftermath of D23, and take a look at how she reacted. Enjoying the video? If so, and you want to see more like it, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss a new video.
The internet is not my biggest fan. I've made some stupid choices, but I don't think anything to warrant the amount of negativity that I see on the daily.
Well, at least she admits she was stupid. Her tone throughout this seems to be far more respectful, a lot more quiet and a lot more reserved than prior. Maybe you could say that this is just due to the passage of time. She was younger then and she's older now, and so by all accounts it makes sense. But I don't know. A lot of this is just a travel vlog, and the actual meat of the content, as in the actual apology and explanation, is not until the end of the video. And that's a big red flag. In YouTuber terms, hiding information at the back of a video is normally a bad idea, or at least it shows you're hiding something. Sure, you're going to put it up into the video, but you're going to hide it where, more often than not, most people won't watch as far to go to that point. Most people normally watch within the first 5 minutes and then check out, so most people would not have seen the actual apology part at the end. It's like it's a step on a checklist that you do last. It has to be there.
I had such a beautiful time. I'm really glad that I legitimately ran away from my issues for 72 hours, but I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have when I say that this has been the biggest adjustment of my life. Like understanding the way my life operates now, being who I am, and the things that I've been so fortunate to make. It comes with so much ground.
You can tell that the whole event has an effect on her. Maybe it was a watershed moment, that suddenly she's out of the YouTube musical bubble, and now she's thrust straight into the mainstream. A lot of that can be anxiety inducing, and it can cause a lot of tension and not knowing what to do in certain predicaments. But there's a way to act in these certain situations, and how she's acted at this point is not the way to go. But that being said, there's something to be said about, you know, the death threats and the high amount of trolling and the high amount of negative press that's circulated around her to this day. To be clear on this, it is never a good thing to send death threats or send such a high volume of negativity to anyone. It's one thing to make a mistake, but it's another thing to continually hound someone to the end of their days for something that they did when young and dumb. We've all done things that we were young and dumb, and to quote a particularly important book on the matter, "Teacher, this woman has been caught in the act of adultery. Now in the law Moses commanded us to stone such women. So what do you say?" This they said to test him, that they might have some charge to bring against him. Jesus bent down and wrote with his finger on the ground. And as they continued to ask him, he stood up and said to them, "Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her." And once more he bent down and wrote on the ground. For when they heard it, they went away one by one, beginning with the older ones. And Jesus was left alone with the woman standing before him. Jesus stood up and said to her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" She said, "No one, Lord." And Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go, and from now on sin no more." Now while the harshness of criticism is one thing, let's actually take account of what she says. While sure Zegler gives excuses as to what she did, she never actually apologizes or says sorry, at least not from what I've seen.
People think I'm doing poorly, and other people think I'm doing gracefully, and I don't think I'm doing it at all. When I tell you that it's hard, I just mean to be inside my brain. That's hard.
Oh no! Anyway.
And in a later video, she does state about how she wishes to redeem herself, to do better in the future, to put the pieces back together and rise stronger than before. Sure, that's all important and such, but it's important to take account and take responsibility for the mistakes you've made in the past. And if you're not willing to show remorse for the mistakes you've already made and just make excuses, then you're at risk of making the same mistakes in the future. It's not just about apologizing for the mistakes you've made, it's also about making certain you don't make them again. And with the heavy amount of self-centered language used here, it could go either way. From here it does seem as though she wants to make good on this pledge, as the PR team certainly went to town on her. In cases such as the interview with Halle Bailey, which is an example of an actress who played a live-action Disney princess who met such criticism with respect and maturity, whereas Zegler...
I'm gonna stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
Shut up!
All the pictures are out there of little me in my Snow White gown.
That's why it's gonna make me cry.
No, stop, because you'll make me cry.
No.
Sure, it has the stink of PR all over it, but if she had come out from the beginning with this sort of attitude, maybe people would have been kinder to her. All leading us on to when the Snow White trailer was released, and while certainly it still received a load of backlash, and the film still has good reason to have such a negative backlash for reasons outside of Zegler's attitude, and her mistakes, there is still good reason to be hopeful that she has learned from her mistakes going forward.
It's like getting to show it to your best friends in a way that you're just like, you won't believe what we did. And so it's been really, really amazing to get to hear their live reactions too. It's just such an instant gratification that what we made is cared about so much.
Remorse and repentance are the key first steps here. For the Christ came to call sinners to his side, not the righteous. And you know, I'd say she is on the right path. Up to today, where it does seem as though she's making the right choices, so I'm sure that nothing negative will come along to change all that. Oh, come on! Well, here we are again. So you say you want to learn from your mistakes, and yet here you are making the same ones yet again. And has she actually apologized for this time? No, she hasn't. But to divide the audience at a time when the audience were already heavily against this film, it's clear that there's still a ways to go. Now, it's one thing to say that you've made a mistake in the past, and that you've apologized for it, but that doesn't mean making the same mistakes, or similar mistakes, and that doesn't mean that you're completely off the hook. It's a journey. It's not just something you can stick in a cupboard like a coat and leave for a while. It is a daily commitment. A commitment towards repentance, towards turning away from sin. Now then, Rachel, I'm going to speak directly to you on this. I doubt that you will actually see this, but you never know. I would recommend maybe getting out of the blockbuster scene for a while. You've already made a good first step with A24's Y2K coming in December. That's a good first step. I'd say stick to the more independent projects for a while. Build up your experience and your professionalism. You want people to respect you, or you want people to see you in the lights, alright, but you have to get to that point. That's the end of a journey. It doesn't come overnight. And it comes by first showing you are willing to earn it. By showing that you are worth paying attention to, not just in terms of your talent, but also in terms of your attitude. And so far, you've taken several steps backwards. Trust is difficult to build and easy to lose. I would say step out of the blockbuster scene for a while and turn towards more independent, smaller projects. And I'd go towards a time of cultivation. Not just in terms of experience, but also spiritual cultivation. I don't know what your opinion is on religion, but if I were you, I would turn towards Christ. Christ will leave the 99 sheep to go back for the one that is left behind. I would at least recommend cracking open one of these. For after all, what does it benefit you if you gain all the riches of the world, but your soul remains vacant? I hope you do manage to turn it around and find success, but you need to show that you're able to earn it, and you're willing to go through the trenches and get there through hard work, and through showing you have the right attitude, not by demanding it. I get that you're young, but that's not always an excuse, and I hope you find your way to the right path soon enough. And to everyone else, thank you all for watching this week's video, and until next time, be seeing you.